Our coops have 3 nesting stations. You just come over here and lift it up. 1, 2, 3. We'll be filling this up with some wood chips. I'll show you in just a moment. You can get into the coop on the side. We have an automatic door that we'll be testing. We've been automating as much as possible. This front one slides over. When we get it full of wood chips, it'll look like this. This is our other chicken coop, so we actually have 2 chicken coops. To clean the chicken coop, you simply pull the slide out, and out will come all the chicken excrement and used wood chips. That'll actually make an excellent fertilizer for the orchard. When we move the chickens outside, this is where they're going to live. Let's take a closer look. We'll start at the top. Right now you can see there's no netting on the top, but we will be putting eagle netting on top so that the birds of prey, the eagles, hawks, vultures, anyone else that wants to swoop down and get the chickens, or any critters that want to climb up over our fence, they won't be able to. If we take a look at the fence over here, you can see that we've actually put chicken wire across the black fence. This has a couple of purposes. First of all, it'll keep them out of the orchard. I don't really want them walking in the orchard because they will chew up and tear up all of my new growth. And also, you can see there's not a lot of shelter, so they would be really easy targets for any animals of prey. The chicken wire here in the ground is actually buried. It goes down about 12 to 18 inches. So any critters that get into the orchard that want to come try and get the chickens, they're actually going to have to dig so far under that hopefully they won't. So we buried the chicken wire to act as a deterrent. Over here there's plenty of grasses and dirt to roam around in. The bushes provide shade. This is sort of interesting. There's chicken wire here on the ground that we framed out to make a nice big area. And we're going to bury this. So this will actually go underneath the chicken coops. Again, preventing critters from crawling up and getting into our coops. The coops are up on the ledge at the moment, although we'll be dropping those 2 of them into the area that I'm standing now on top of the chicken wire once we have it buried. We've put a trellis up, and in the trellis we'll be putting a door. So there will be chicken wire over here on this side of the trellis, and of course chicken wire over here on this side of the trellis and up so the chickens can't get out, no one else can get in, and then the eagle netting will come up over the trellis as well. But to get in and out of this space, we'll be going through a door inside the trellis. Well, I'll also be putting in some more plants and stuff for the chickens to pick at. We can hang watermelon, we can hang pumpkin. It's really good seasonally. It gives the chickens something to do. It's kind of like a toy, and of course it provides nourishment and hydration. So, let's talk about our setup. So we have our chicks just in a plastic bin that's on a table, which keeps them out of the reach of both the dogs and the kids. It also makes it a little bit easier for us as we go in to get them and to take care of them. We have a heat lamp on them. Chicks, where they're only a week old, they really want that heat lamp to be about 95 degrees. You figure when mama hen sits on her chicks, she's keeping them right around 100 degrees for that first week. Each week thereafter, you can go down about 5 degrees. So week 2 is 90 degrees, week 3 is 85 degrees, and by the 4th week, they can be in 80 degree weather. We're planning to move them outside in the next week or 2, but because it's still cold outside, they're still young, we give them lots of attention, we're keeping them right inside. I'm going to move this chicken wire back. We put the chicken wire on today because these chicks are starting to hop and they're starting to want to learn to fly. And if they fall from the bin to the table or from the bin down to the floor, they could get really badly injured, if not worse. We have 2 automatic feeders. This one has food in it. Each little hole provides the chick a place to stand and also space for them to feed without being in competition with the other chicks for food. What we're giving them, we picked up from Tractor Supply. We have Do More chicken grit and the Chick Starter Grower by Mana Pro. And that's what we're feeding them just right now. And the other automatic feeder, and this one's almost more important to note, we have water. So as the chicks drink the water down here, more water comes out. It's a gravity system, right? Space for water, water comes, pulled down by gravity. Now the important thing here is that we filled it up with rocks, because these little baby chicks, especially when they were a bit younger, they could actually have drowned in that water. So by giving them the rocks to stand on, they won't get stuck in the water, and they have plenty of access to water. So it's a security issue. Now to keep these up above the wood chips, we actually put them on little cement planter surrounds. So we'll move this over, and here you go. These wood chips offer more than just a soft ground to stand on and to lie in, right? They absorb the odors, they absorb the wetness, because chicks actually really like it dry. That's why we don't have chicks and ducks in here. Ducks like it wet, chicks like it dry. So really, if you're gonna do something like this, you wanna stick with just chicks or just ducks. I mentioned that because when we got our last four, the 2 Dorkies and the 2 Bantams, there was the same person we brought these from was actually also selling baby ducklings, and I was thinking, oh, that would be so cute, but they like different environments. Additionally, these wood chips provide warmth, so it's very important to have wood chips or something on the bottom to soak up the water, to provide some warmth, and to absorb the odors. Let's talk about these wonderful chickies. We'll start with the 2 yellow ones. They're called Buff Orpingtons. Hi, little Buff Orpington. Yes, I know, you're pretty young still. So Buff Orpingtons have, on average, about an 8-year lifespan, and typically they weigh about 7 to 8 pounds when they are completely grown. They're said to be really docile and friendly, which is really nice. It's true for all Orpingtons, but especially the Buff. Buff Orpingtons tend to be very calm unless they're running over for treats, and then they get excited. It's really adorable, actually. They need some access to shade during the day. They get hot because they have these thick feathers, which makes them cold hardy. This is actually Lyle Chick, and Lyle Chick just loves sitting in my hand. So does Toot Toot down there, the other Buff Orpington. They're also good with children. You can see in the pictures that they are so good with my kids. They're one of the easiest to play with, and they're just incredibly, incredibly sweet. Not only are they good with people, they like new environments, they're okay with strange noises, and they actually make excellent mothers, which I don't plan to test, but I've read quite a bit of research on it. Now, the one thing to be aware of with them is that they will peck hard if they feel that they need to, so be aware of their beak. They rarely forage, they do well in cages, they're incredibly sweet, as you can see. They just love attention. This little chick would be very happy to spend most of its day in my hand. And when it's grown, it'll lay about 200 to 280 eggs per year on average. So, incredibly sweet, great pets, and great egg layers. The little brown ones are the Dorkings. They're one of the oldest known breeds of chicken, actually dating back to 43 AD. They're really sweet, and due to the commercialization of the poultry industry, they are considered endangered. This neat fun fact about the Dorking chicken is they have a 5th toe. So if you look at their feet, let's see. Can you give me your foot, please, little girl? There you go. See that little 5th toe sticking off right there? That's kind of fun. I had a cat that had thumbs, and I really loved it. So I'm super excited to know that these Dorking chickens have a 5th toe. Full grown, they'll be about 8 pounds, and they'll live to about 5 to 8 years. They also make good mothers. They have an incredibly sweet temperament. They're friendly, they're tolerant, they're calm, and when they're full grown, they'll lay about 170 to 190 eggs per year. Not only do they make great pets, they're good egg layers. The miniature chicks are our hybrid bantams. This blue one is Priscilla, and the black one is Elvis. On average, hybrid bantams live about 5 to 7 years, although they've been known to live as long as 10 to 15 years, whereas as adults, they'll grow to be about 5 to 6 pounds. So they're going to be a bit smaller than the other hens, even though right now, they're the largest chicks we have. You see that we've introduced them all right around the same age because These little chicks, these little hens, they have a tendency to get picked on. Therefore, if you have an established coop of chicks or hens and roosters, you may find disastrous results if you add these little bantams later. It's because they're so small that they get picked on. They're really at the bottom of the pecking order. And fun fact, pecking order, the pecking chain, that actually is derived from chickens because they tend to peck on the smallest and the weakest. So our hope is that by raising them all together, they'll all be friendly. So Elvis here is a satin, and a satin is a cross between a sizzle and a Cochin Bantam. She has feathers on her feet, which you'll see is the same for Priscilla. And it's important to note that their feathers on their feet make a big difference in how their coop is maintained. They need their pens to be relatively mud-free and muck-free. If there's mud and muck and they're walking through wet ground, then their feet, with all these beautiful feathers, they have a tendency to become really dry and crusty. And then the chickens pick at their feet, and that's no good. So you might find that your base is prone to muddiness. So in that case, you'd want to add some pebbles or some construction sand to the area. This is Priscilla. She's a sizzle, so her feathers will be curly, and you can see they're already starting to be a bit curly. And she is a cross between a frizzle and a silky. There you go. As they're learning to fly, they really love to jump, and I'm trying to keep them from jumping, so I always give them a nice soft landing whenever possible. In the early spring, I would like to add 2 or 3 buckets, large buckets of mulch around her area. So as I'm showing you the outdoors, how we set it up, we'll be making sure that the ground is nice and dry. Next spring we'll do this for sure, and the reason we'll add mulch is that it'll break down nicely and it'll provide some scratch-worthy dirt. Plus, they'll help them keep their feet a little bit cleaner. These hybrid bantams, they produce smaller eggs and they tend to produce fewer eggs. When cooking with bantam eggs, you want to use 3 bantam eggs to every 2 standard eggs. We really like all of our chicks, and we hope that they all like each other too. One last thing I'll mention, as long as you're washing your hands, if you take any pictures or you touch anything, you should sanitize whatever it is that you touch. And beyond that, if you get chicks, enjoy them. They're so much fun. Hi. You wanna come up? Hi. I know you're so comfy. You wanna come up also? There you go. Ooh, into your water. Nice.